Hello and welcome to this episode of FraeLea Conversations. As promised on the last one, we are talking this week about our book cover for FOG Over Mandaree. We're going to go over the design process a little bit, show you some of the iterations that you didn't get to see before and how we arrived at the final design. So we'll be showing you the versions too as we're looking at it here on our little tablet. So with the first one, our artist, Benjamin Roque, he came up with this concept, and we had given him a description, and we had described the Gurgerin, which is the monster that appears in the book. No big spoiler there, I think. If you've read the book already, anyway. Yeah, hopefully you've read it. If not, it's we're not going to give any spoilers beyond that, but it's called the Gurgerin.
Yes, we will.
And no, we're not going to give any spoilers. And so now this first version, we had fog is obviously a big component. We had the rig that we had provided some various photos that he could use for illustration, and then kind of a description of Nick and Katrina, the two main characters of the story. And so he penciled this out, and he had the fog. It was a little too green on this first version.
Both of our immediate response was it was too green, it looked too marshy of a fog.
It looked like swamp fog, basically,
right.
Instead of winter fog, which is what this should have been.
I think both of our response when we saw the Gurgerin was, wow.
Yeah, he did a great job with that, definitely.
Yes, and the most unique one of them all, too.
Yeah, we gave good description, I think, of how we wanted it. The head was a little bit off, as you'll see in the next versions, but it gave a good starting point anyway. The Gurgerin in particular, he's got really small eyes. He's supposed to look like something that's just tough and just a rough mountain type creature. And so that was the first version. We had, you can see the pencil outline of Nick and Katrina that he had on there, and gave him some feedback on that one, which the next version he started implementing. We wanted him to be running away from the monster, but we still wanted to see their faces and to show them kind of looking back at it. He also, on this version, made it more winterscape. So
right, and cleaned up the green. So
that kind of the colors, that slate gray.
Yes.
And it was still a little too bright here, but it fit kind of a winter fog type a little bit better. The one thing I didn't like about this one was the snow that he had over the monster.
Right.
It looked a little too fake, I guess. And
yeah.
But that was fine. That was something that he was able to take care of on the next version. Which actually the next version, we still had. Okay, so
and that one was actually kind of a great story where he had opened up this version and he gasped, and I'm like,
he is in me,
Frank, yes.
Yeah, so Ben had emailed us this version of it, and we obviously wanted more detail on the human faces, and this was the first variant of that he painted, and it's digital painting, but it is actual painting. He's actually painting these. This is not stock photography or anything like that, and so it's all the more impressive that it looks so realistic. Even zooming in on it, it's still, you can see the texture of it. And one of the things that we were really trying to impress upon Ben was that we were going to be using this for marketing collateral. So the bookmarks, which we showed you in last week's episode, but also the posters that we're planning on making, and eventually print covers for paperback. We've had a lot of folks ask about paperback, and we are planning to eventually, but not yet.
So we knew that there had to be excellent quality, especially with our protagonists, Nick and Katrina, and their faces are just gorgeous.
Yeah, so when you look at that, you can actually see their expressions a little bit. And so with that, we were kind of like, okay, we wanted Katrina to have a little bit more of fear in her eyes, a little bit more expression there, and Nick had to have a scar. He has a scar in the book, and that was something distinct about him that comes up in future books too, so we wanted to make sure that was present. And so on the next one, and he actually did add that, and this is pretty darn close to what the final version ended up being. He really nailed it on this, and I think in fact there were only a couple lighting changes and positioning that we changed the position a little bit. The beauty of doing digital painting is that you can actually move elements around a little bit more easily than obviously traditional painting. You obviously are kind of stuck with where things are at, so that's kind of the beauty there. And there's that's basically what the final version was. He had changed the the head of the Gergerin a little bit to,
just slightly.
The shape was a little bit. It's supposed to kind of have an anvil shaped head, and that has significance, which won't show up for several books, but there is a reason for the shape of its head. And so the final version here with the text and our author logo, I think it ended up turning out pretty decently. We were very happy with it.
Yes.
We've had some good feedback.
Should we tell them about the little bonus?
No.
Okay.
Well, now that she said that, okay, well, I wasn't planning to, but I was planning on waiting until we had the series out, and then we were going to have kind of a Where's Waldo clue hunt on our covers. But now that somebody spilled the beans here, and I don't want to re-record all this,
oh no,
that's all right. But in every one of our covers, we have a squirrel somewhere.
Yes.
We won't tell you where, but there is a squirrel on every one of our covers. And this is only the first cover. The second one is being designed by Ben right now.
Yes.
But there is a squirrel on it, and maybe we'll do a contest someday. Now that the squirrel's out of the bag, we probably won't do that. Thanks for ruining Christmas there, but. But there is, squirrels are significant to us. We're kind of a couple of squirrels anyway ourselves, and so we're including that element in every one of our book covers.
I think it's charming.
And so anyway, if you look closely enough, you may find it. It's very subtle on this first one, a little less subtle on the next one, but it's in every one of our covers. And and just in time, speaking of squirrels, we've got Euler has to make his cameo here, so thanks for joining in here.
Fun.
We almost made the entire episode without a cat making an appearance. So we're professionals here.
Yeah.
So,
we do professional.
We obviously, we're pretty good. We know what we're doing here. He probably wants to play his games on the tablet now, so I'll probably have to relinquish that, but that'll probably be enough for this episode. I'm about to be pinned down here for a while, so I'll see you probably in a week when he actually lets me up.
Yeah.
Got a 20-pound cat here holding me down.
So again, visit us on frhurt.com.
And we'll see you next time.